must for a strong and prosperous economy.
The 2PM Newscast
with
Frinui Crispin.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to the 2pm Newscast on Royal FM. In our top story, several people have remained frustrated and bankrupt after a fake immigration travel agency in Bastos, Yaoundé, extorted them 100 million francs CFA with promise to grant them visas for greener pastures in Europe and America.
Any person, any agency that promises you that you have your visa, that assures you 100%, that person is not worthy of your trust.
Out of the country, we take you to Nigeria, Tanzania, and South Africa. And in sports, Cameroon currently counts 5 medals in the Islamic Solidarity Games after grappling 3 medals yesterday. Get these stories and more in this newscast. Thanks for tuning in. The Minister of Women's Empowerment and the Family, Professor Marie-Thérèse Abena-Ondoa, has announced Cameroon's participation in the 19th edition of the 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence. The campaign that will run from November 25 to December 10, 2025 will take place under the theme Unite to End Digital Violence Against All Women and Girls. The National Institute of Statistics has today hosted a conference to commemorate African Statistics Day and World Statistics Day, celebrated as part of the Statistics Month. The event that took place at 10 a.m. at the National Institute headquarters in Yaoundé placed under the theme Level or Leveraging Innovations, Data and Statistics for a Just and Prosperous Society. Experts from Cameroon Statistical System discussed new advancements, ongoing challenges, and the importance of reliable official data in national development. The Minister of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises, Achille Basile-Keng-Trois, presides over the opening and closing of the ceremonies of the 7th World Entrepreneurship Week in Cameroon, celebrated under the theme Productive Entrepreneurship and Opportunities of the Subcontracting Law. Both conferences will take place today, November 18, and Friday, the 21st at 9:30 a.m. Here in Yaoundé, the week highlights innovations and the contributions of SMEs to national growth. The day slated for the 2025 regional election is fast approaching, and political parties in least for this process have begun active preparations following the launch of campaigns. A case in point is the Fundi division, where the CPDM and BRIC are going head-to-head for spot in the division. Evans Williams Jobati got the reaction of both militants and now reports.
According to the BRIC party, where Nadej Bekono is contesting, the rivalry may be stiff but not unbeatable.
I believe that with the president's speech, in which he said that this time he will try to trust women and young people, it is through this that I rise to the challenge of believing that I am capable of doing what is necessary for my country. We have also made television and radio recordings. We have already sent letters to the various mayors of all the councils of Yaoundé, and we will also seek to meet with all these municipal councillors to try and convince them to trust us.
On its part, the CPDM party, while officially launching campaigns for the election of regional councillors in the Fudi division, Professor Laurent Serge Etudingwa, permanent divisional delegation head within the party, used the opportunity to call on voters to elect only theirs.
We are dealing this time with regional election. As you know, municipal councillors are the men who are casting their votes. As far as Fundi is concerned, CPDM have all the municipal council of the town. There is another party. They are hunting for our councillors. And our rule was to tell them that we don't want any voice of our municipal councillors be absent the D-Day. They must all cast their vote for CPDM list.
Added to this, the CPDM bigwig during yesterday's meeting at the regional party house in Yaoundé also appealed to the responsibility and commitment of councillors on voting day.
Some of our councillors didn't cast their vote for our candidate. We call them that they are not there for themselves, they are there for the party. Even if they have something with their chief, they have to cast their vote for the party. The party have nothing to do. What they have as problem with their chief who are the mayors of the place. We will be there campaigning for 2 weeks. Come the D-Day, we must be sure that we won all the voices and we won the election.
It should be noted that the aim of this election is to strengthen local governance by establishing regional councils within a political situation which varies across regions.
And still talking about the November 30th regional elections, which comes up in some days, Cameroonians have been expressing diverse reactions as to what concerns their interest at this process. Evans Williams Jobati captured some of their voice views and put together this vox pop.
Logically, we expected the municipal elections to come before the regional elections, but with the president postponing it, given that citizens can't actually vote in their regional representatives, they can only do so at the municipal level. I'm really not interested in this regional election.
It's not because it is a regional election that you shouldn't take it serious. They say the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step, and I think that first step is the regional election.
Regional councils and regional assemblies to me are just some other institutions that have been created to mismanage the state funds, because up till now I cannot see the impact of the regional council on lay Cameroonians, which of course to me I don't even see any need of their election. Although they are elected through an indirect suffrage, only certain delegates go in vote. I don't see regional councils being all that solution to the problems that Cameroonians are facing right now, because for the past 5 years that they've been there, I've not seen any change.
Still to come in this newscast, the director of the Yaoundé Central Hospital has issued a communique including over 100 abandoned corpses at the morgue of the hospital.
A corpse will be considered to be abandoned in any public health services if the corpse stays for more than 60 days.
As you heard in one of our top stories, a travel agency in Bastos, Yaoundé, has robbed people of more than 100 million francs CFA, promising them visas for greener pastures in Europe and America, but these visas never came out. In today's newscast, our reporter Gang Nadesh caught up with a travel agent who shares how a legitimate travel process should be carried out and how one can detect fake from real travel agents. Details in this report.
Recently, several individuals have fallen victim to fake travel agents who promised them visas and travel opportunities but ended up taking their money and disappearing. The legitimate visa application process involves rigorous steps that must be followed diligently. Lon Jabba is an immigration expert in charge of operations at a travel agency in Yaoundé.
The applicants submit their documents directly to the embassy or through an authorized visa application center. So no private agency like ours or any other agency can approve or disapprove a visa. The only institution that can do that is the embassy.
She notes that travel agents are simply intermediaries who assist individuals with the visa application process.
Our role as a travel or immigration support agency is simply to guide citizens through the process. We help you to understand the requirements, gather the correct documents, fill the forms accurately, book your appointment, and prepare you for interviews. But we never promise that you have the visa, so no agency can assure you 100% that you will have your visa.
The expert further highlights some tips for individuals who may consider working with an agency for their visa application. Lauren Jabba once again.
Any person, any agency that promises you that you have your visa, that assures you 100% is not worthy of your trust, because he knows that the approval of your visa does not depend on him. The agencies has to be transparent with you, give your profile to the person, your qualifications, and he will tell you frankly, according to your profile, this is the program or country that suits you better. From that now, you really know where you are going to, through which way you will go.
The immigration expert concludes by emphasizing the need for research and noting that
you will do some research on internet, these conditions, am I eligible? If yes, then you know the agent is telling you the truth. You should have that possibility to ask the agency at which level are we, and the agency will tell you the level, because there's a platform, give you the access so that you can check and see if the process is really what he's talking about.
immigration rates in Cameroon have been increasing, driven by factors like limited formal employment opportunities, particularly for youth, and insecurity in the northwest and southwest regions. This has led to a brain drain, with 70 to 80% of Cameroonians trained abroad not returning.
Elsewhere, the director of the Yaoundé Central Hospital has issued a communique including over 100 abandoned corpses at the morgue of the hospital. The director is calling on family members to pass by the hospital's morgue to identify the corpses before they are taken to the urban council for burial. Gang Nadesh interviewed a legal expert on what the law stipulates about unidentified corpses as such. Take a listen to Nelson Lambris in the following excerpt.
If you go back to Ministerial Arrêté number 0875/A of Minsante of 1st of April 2013, it states, and I quote, "A corpse will be considered to be abandoned in any public health services if the corpse stays for more than 60 days, whether the corpse are identified corpse or non-identified corpse." End of quote. Now, if this 60 days elapses, that the corpse are not being removed from the public hospital services, be it the state or private, it is considered that this corpse has been abandoned. Now, the Minister of Public Health has an obligation, as per the arrêté that I just mentioned thereof, to inform the territorial decentralized collectivity. That is, I'm talking about the councils, especially where that mortuary or the morgue is located or found. The officials of that territorial decentralized collectivity, councils, about this for at least 3 weeks, to inform them about the number of corpses that have been considered abandoned in their services. And when this is done, the state of Cameroon, that is the nation of our country, has actually allocated budget for this council to take care of situations like this, corpses that have been abandoned. But now, the Ministry of Public Health and the services of the morgue, they have an obligation to also inform the families of those that were identified, the corpses that were actually deposited with due respect of the law, and actually people that can identify that they came to this morgue and they deposited a corpse, and inform them that the due date has elapsed, they should come and remove the corpse for proper burial. Now, when this is not also done, the ministry have an obligation to inform the council 3 weeks before the council will then prepare to come and remove the corpse and follow the proper burial laws in our country. And these corpses are supposed to be buried in public cemetery, following the norms of burials of corpse in our country and the depth of the grief and everything that follows suit with the provision of a casket, that is a coffin and all what it needs, even only if the person is not a Muslim, since we are in a secular state. We are not in a Christianized state or an Islamic state, but we are in a secular state. But for those that are non-Muslim, they are supposed to respect their own customs and traditions and the laws of the state and put them in a casket. Now, this is what it says about corpses that have been abandoned in any health services in our country. The ministerial arrêté is clear, and the conditions for information to be considered that the corpse is being abandoned is also clear.
And in economic news, promotional sales are a key strategy used by government institutions, especially during periods of inflation, to make essential goods more affordable to citizens through public-private partnerships. But then, are they always effective, and do they really tackle the high cost of living in Cameroon? Our reporter Jeffrey Tatum captured the reaction of some experts and compiled them in this report.
Economics teacher Chumolo Eugene begins by explaining why he believes that promotional campaigns cannot always be efficient in a country like Cameroon.
When there is a high demand of products, it has a lot of effect, especially when it goes below the market prices. Then there are effects. Customers giving preferential treatment to others. This will not eventually solve to a greater extent the problem of inflation, and issue of cost of living is instead worsened.
Meanwhile, Henry Kwam, director of the Cameroon Economic Policy Institute, has mixed feelings about such initiatives.
These trade fairs and these promotional campaigns do have a minor but positive impact on communities. However, the majority of these campaigns tend to be concentrated in urban areas and not in rural areas where the poverty rates are significantly higher. So on the whole, the impact is positive but it's minor. What we have to do is ramp up production.
In this context, there is a necessity of finding alternative ways of raising the standard of living of Cameroonians. Chumolo Eugene wants more.
I think the government should put up other measures to be able to maintain the standard of living and keep away the issue of inflation, because when we look critically in Cameroon, the inflationary situation cannot be actually read as per se, because there is too much money in the economy, but the money is not circulating. It is in the pockets of some private individuals who are not using it properly.
In a nutshell, while promotional sales can provide temporary relief, they should be carefully designed and implemented to maximize their impact and minimize potential drawbacks.
Let's now open our international page with Mapala Zita, who is senior reporter and editor-in-chief here at Royal FM. Welcome, Zita.
Thank you very much, Crispine.
Zita, you say one of the school girls abducted in Nigeria has escaped captivity.
According to a statement from the school principal today, the students who escaped fled forest and arrived home late last night, hours after the kidnapping at the Government Girls Comprehensive Secondary School in northwestern Nigeria's Kebbi State. Principal Musa Rabi Magaji also added that one other student who was not among the 25 confirmed abducted also escaped in the minutes that followed the attack. During the unfortunate incident, a staff member who was trying to protect the children got killed. No group has taken responsibility for the attack yet, but analysts and locals say it could be one of several gangs that often target schools, travelers and remote villages in kidnapping for ransom.
Tanzania's Iron Lady President Samia Suluhu Hassan has appointed her daughter and son-in-law to key government positions, Zita.
In a televised address yesterday from Chamwino State House in Dodoma, President Samia announced 27 ministers and 29 deputy ministers, and among them her daughter Wanu Hafid Ameyi, who will serve as Deputy Minister of Education, while the husband Chemgewa takes over as Minister of Health. 7 senior officials from the previous cabinet were replaced in the reshuffle. The new cabinet is expected to be sworn in today. Observers say Samia's appointment mirrors a trend in some African nations where leaders place their relatives or allies in government roles, with similar cases being seen in Uganda and Rwanda. Crispin.
Let's talk about the G20 summit, which opens in South Africa today.
South Africa is hosting this year's G20 summit, which will run from today to November the 20th in Gauteng province. Deputy President His Excellency Shipokosa Polus Mashital is delivering the keynote address at the welcoming and opening ceremony. The G20 Social Summit is designed as an inclusive platform to amplify the voices of civil society, grassroots organizations, and communities. South Africa's Minister of International Relations and Cooperations, Ronald Lamdo, said in a statement yesterday that his country's doors are still open if the United States of America decides to participate in the G20 Leaders Summit. This comes after U.S. President Donald Trump stressed that no U.S. official will attend the gathering over widely discredited claims that white people are being persecuted in South Africa.
What else is making news around the world, Zita?
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has said he hopes to revive talks over ending the Russo-Ukrainian war. In a social media post today, Zelensky said Ukraine is preparing to reinvigorate negotiations and has developed solutions that he will propose to partners. Kremlin's spokesperson Dmitry Peskov has, however, told reporters that no Russian representative will take part in the talks scheduled for tomorrow, but that President Vladimir Putin was open to conversations with the United States of America and Turkey on the results of the talks. Philippines President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has rejected accusations by his estranged sister, Senator Amy Marcos, that he had been a long-term drug user. This at a time when the country is witnessing
our sports package. Good afternoon, Biwa Brian.
Good afternoon, Frenio Crispin.
We begin with the Islamic Solidarity Games, where Cameroon currently counts 5 medals after grabbing 3 medals yesterday.
Cameroon's delegation at the Islamic Solidarity Games in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, won its first gold medal yesterday and grabbed 2 other medals, totaling 5, including 1 gold, 1 silver, and 3 bronze medals. The gold medal was won by Nora Timoni in the women's discus throw, while Somba grabbed bronze in the individual women's fencing, and Emmanuel Esime finished third in the men's 100 meters run to claim Cameroon's 5th medal. With this, Cameroon has now moved 6 places to the 20th position on the classification table, seated behind heavyweights like Turkey and Uzbekistan, who are frontrunners at the ongoing competition. David Ojong is the Secretary General of the Cameroon National Olympic and Sports Committee.
The games are still to be over. We still have athletics, wrestling, powerlifting, para-athletics and fencing that are still involved in the competition, and we believe that there are more medals coming with this sports discipline. So far so good, but we think that we could do better. So hopefully we may have, with the performance of our athletes, we may have another silver medal or a gold medal in athletics or in powerlifting. I hope that that will be a reality very soon before the end of the event.
From the Islamic Games, we talk football, where you look at DR Congo's chance of making it through the Intercontinental Playoffs to the World Cup.
The Intercontinental Playoffs, scheduled to take place in Mexico next year, will feature 6 teams from 5 confederations. DR Congo, as a representative from Africa, will be joined by nations including Bolivia and New Caledonia, along with 5 teams from Asia and CONCACAF. Ngome Mike, a sports analyst.
If you look at it critically, it would not be an overstatement saying that the DRC are at least a step or a foot into the FIFA World Cup in North America, because when you look at the procedure for the next qualifications, we will see teams still being scheduled by their FIFA ranking.
The tournament's unique format gives DR Congo a significant edge, as the 6 participating teams will be seated based on the FIFA World Rankings. The 2 highest-ranked teams, which will likely include the Leopards, will receive a bye direct to the final of their respective 3 teams bracket. This means DR Congo only needs to win 1 single elimination match to punch their ticket to the 48-nation tournament.
If either of Panama or Costa Rica fails to go through to final phase of the CONCACAF playoffs out there in Central America, DR Congo's chances will be going up a notch, because these are the only 2 nations that are ranked above the DRC on the FIFA guidelines.
Ngome Michael believed the team's upward performance trajectory, which began recently and aligns with the advantageous FIFA ranking, gives DR Congo excellent momentum heading into the playoffs.
I mean, they practically eliminated Nigeria from this playoff. At the last African Cup of Nations in Cote d'Ivoire, they lost in the semi-finals to eventual winners and host Cote d'Ivoire. They had eliminated Egypt in the quarterfinals. They lost the bronze medal to South Africa. You see some sort of progression that Sebastien Desabre's team have been making, edging into places which we are seeing. They have had a beautiful run.
For a nation that last appeared on the World Cup stage in 1974, when it was known as Zaire, this opportunity represents more than just a place in the World Cup. It symbolizes a potential return to global footballing relevance, led by French and former Coton sports coach Sebastien Desabre.
Olivier Ndema Epo is here with the summary of this newscast in the French language. Good afternoon, Olivier.
Bon après-midi, Frénuit Crispin. L'élection des conseillers régionaux 2025 est prévue le 30 du mois de novembre. La période de campagne est rendue ce mardi à son 4e jour. 12 partis politiques sont en lice pour le scrutin. Un nouveau scandale financier secoue la capitale politique Yaoundé. Au quartier Bastos, une prétendue agence d'immigration a distrait 100 millions de CFA à des demandeurs de visa. L'affaire fait grand bruit depuis quelques jours dans la ville de Yaoundé. Hors de nos frontières, le G20 se veut une institution forte malgré l'absence des États-Unis d'Amérique. Tel est l'essentiel du message de Lamola Ronald. Il est le ministre sud-africain des Affaires étrangères. Ceci à l'occasion du sommet du G20 qui s'ouvre en Afrique du Sud. Un sommet auquel Donald Trump, président des États-Unis, avait décidé de ne pas prendre part il y a quelques semaines en guise de protestation contre les maltraitances que subissent les populations blanches d'Afrique du Sud. Sport pour finir, le Cameroun, la Cameroun Team aux Jeux Olympiques, aux Jeux de la Solidarité Olympique 2025 a enregistré hier sa première médaille en or. Ceci porte à 5, ceci grâce à la lanceuse de disque Nora Moni-Atim. Cette médaille porte à 5 le nombre de métaux précieux de la délégation camerounaise qui occupe en ce moment le 20e rang. Le Cameroun garde cependant des chances de médaille en athlétisme et en lutte.
The news was technically assisted by Romeo Adekume, our sound engineer and studios clerk, video editor Alan Kwekam, producer Ngang Nadesh, news editing Mapala Zita, editorial coaching Abel Bela Samari, coordination Roger Kiek, general supervision the Reverend Pastor Bisay Emmanuel Noel. For presentation, I have been Frénuit Crispin. Up next is Fraîcheur Royale with a presentation of Raissa Parker, which is the second part of the program. Good afternoon once more, Raissa Parker.
Thank you so much, Frénuit Crispin. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon, dear listeners.
Okay.
La deuxième partie de Fraîcheur Royale, puisqu'on a encore du temps, on va remettre sur la table nos thématiques. L'une des thématiques, le couple découvre à quelques jours de leur mariage, en pleine préparation de la cérémonie, que ce sont des frères. Et la fille en ce moment est enceinte. Comment réagir face à cela ? Une autre thématique sur la table. Accepteriez-vous que votre épouse, votre femme, votre bien-aimée ait pour amie une femme célibataire ? En tout cas, on a écouté pas mal de réactions en première partie. On remet cela avec les auditeurs et nous précisons encore qu'il y a notre rubrique coup de cœur. On va s'amuser en chansons, les chansons choisies par vous. À tout à l'heure.